Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to my channel, Fountain Pen Therapy. Well, when I look at my views, and it's something I take a look at, obviously, I have a YouTube channel. I want to make sure that the content that I'm putting out there, it does gather some interest. Although, as I mentioned very often, I don't do this for a living. I just do this so that I can get some fountain pen therapy, as it were. But from what I notice from the views, you guys, you don't let go. The Chinese pens are very popular. You're always looking to see whether there's an interesting offering out there at a reasonable price. And you know what, folks, I can get the message. And we can't all afford expensive Scribo Italian pens at $700, $800. And I can understand that. That's like, it's one purchase in a lifetime, so to speak. And so, without further ado, I've got another, I think, a very interesting offering from a Chinese brand that I've discovered by the name of Tramol. Now, you'll recall that maybe a week or two ago, I published a video on the Tramol demonstrator pen, a kind of a Opus 88 sort of a looking pen, if you will. And I found that pen very, very interesting. And you know what? This second offering that I have for you is also very interesting. So without any further ado, here is the Tramol T630 with a Yowo nib. Stay tuned. Okay, so here is the subject pen. At first sight, you kind of get the feeling that maybe this is just another one of those clunky, heavy steel Chinese pens, but I'm afraid not. I think there is some metal in this somewhere, but the weight is nice. It's got a really, really nice weight in the sense that it's not a clunky, heavy metal pen. And it's not one of these light, plasticky sort of an offering either. Now, the first thing to notice is it does have a dual-fold inspiration. It doesn't copy the clip, that Arrow Parker clip. But, the general shape is a dual-fold, kind of flat tops on both ends. Nice black lacquered cap. With a huge, nice big, kind of 3D-ish ring here. In other words, it kind of, you can feel the texture there. You can feel the bump. The same thing goes for this entire engraving on the barrel. The clip is kind of an eyedrop style clip, very stiff, but I would imagine functional. It does have a kind of a, I don't know if you could see it. You see that little kind of a dot there underneath, which facilitates the grasping of material, etc., etc. Nice touch, and it's not rough or it's well done. The finial here and the ring here, you can feel it, but it's even all around. So not because it's jetting more on one side as compared to the other, as we often see in some of the Canwright pens. With all due respect to Canwright. So there you have it. That's the outside of the pen. Now, how many turns to open it up? Let's just see. That is one turn. Yeah, one turn, maybe even less. Let me just do it a little more carefully. No, one turn, exactly one turn. And first thing I want you to notice is that it's got a Bach nib. Bach nib with some Chinese lettering there. I'm assuming it is the brand name, which is Tramol or something to that effect. It's also, there's an indication there that it is a medium Bach plastic feed that we're used to. The section is very, very smooth. The threads here are very smooth. It does have a little bit of a flare. It just sits in the hand very, very comfortably, I got to tell you. Very, very nice. It's well done. It's extremely well done. And then you have this beautiful barrel, which in any event, I like barrels like this where they're ordained by some Chinese symbols. And here we're talking about the awakening lion, which is from what I understand, is symbolic lion dance, which you have all kinds of symbolism for in Chinese culture, if you will. And I'm not going to try to explain it all. That's what I've read on the internet, if we're to believe what we see on the internet. If anybody wants to add to that, please do in the commentaries. But again, very, very nice. It's got a larger band here with some Chinese graphics there, if you will. And then, of course, you got the graphic, which with the same graphic at the bottom here. And then you've got, from what I can understand, this lion head, which is well depicted in this barrel. And you can get this pen in either the silver trimming or the gold trimming, as I've chosen here. I think it is really, really nice pen. I've got to tell you, I'm very pleased with this. It's a kind of pen that you want to write with on a daily basis. And I like it. Now, what does it post? It does. It just sits there, but it posts comfortably. It is a little bit back weighted. There's some weight to that cap, but it's not totally uncomfortable. For those of you who absolutely need to post, it's doable. I would have wished that the posting would have been a little bit deeper, but I guess it just doesn't play into the design. You don't want to cover up that beautiful gold barrel, I guess. So for those of you who absolutely need to post it, it's postable. But as I mentioned, it's big enough that it could stand on its own without posting. Now let's take a look inside this cap to see if we have any sort of... Oh, by the way, if this is metal, and I'm not sure it is, I don't think so. Does seem like plastic, and then I've got to presume that that's a plastic as well, because the metal is inside here. But there is a metal ring in there, so you get metal on metal. And we'll look at the cartridge converter in a second. So let me just see what I see in here. I do see a cap. Now, does that cap, seal the pen perfectly? I have to assume it does, so that's good news. We'll see with time whether or not drawing is an issue. As far as the cartridge converter, I mean, you can see the manufacturing of the threading here is very smooth, well done. Kind of a cheapish converter, all plastic, but works well. You can see the ink flushing in there, and I had no problem sucking it up. So the converter worked very nicely, and like I mentioned, the threading is very, very smooth, and at both ends, both from the cap and inside the barrel to the section. So there you have it. I think a very, very pretty pen. So what I propose next is we do some pen comparisons, give you some measurements, and then we'll do that writing sample and see what this pen can do. Be right back. Okay, for the pen comparison, I want to kind of draw on similar looking pens, most of which are Chinese. For example, this is the Dieman 8037. Now this does, although I really love this pen, it is a little more of a clunky metal pen as compared to the subject pen. So there you have one comparison. Then you have this Lemon M3, and I think it kind of resembled most this Lemon M3. Of course, if we're going to compare its duofold design, well, now I have a real duofold after I've purchased this beautiful vintage duofold 1990s edition, Centennial. Now we can really compare. Then I have this Hongdian, which again is an even heavier metal pen, the Hongdian 231 model. And finally, again, another metal pen, which is the Hongdian 1868. So there you have the comparison. Now, let me just get my trusty glass pointer here. When you line them all up, you could see that the subject pen is the longest one, equivalent to 1868, but much girthier, if you will. Bigger, definitely bigger than the Lemon and bigger than the actual duofold Centennial, which, if you saw my video, the Centennial as opposed to the International is indeed the larger of the two. So there you have it. Those are the pens capped. Here are the pens uncapped and unposted, and there you can see that the subject pen, which is right here, takes on quite a different size. Now, all of a sudden, it's not the biggest or the longest of the gang. The duofold, that appeared to be shorter, is in fact the longest one here, as we can see. Of course, the duofold has a gold nib. The others all have what looks like number 6 size nibs. You can have them all here. My 8037, the nib is in fact a Kegeloo nib that I replaced. So there you have it. You have that very nice lemon nib on the Lemon M3, and of course a beautiful gold nib on my duofold. But there you have the pens, unposted and uncapped. Here are the pens posted. These two kind of post right at the top because of the kind of a squarish butt. They just sit at the end. This Lemon M3 barely posts, and not, in fact, not very well. The duofold and the other three post a little bit better because the end is slightly, if you can see that, it kind of slightly tapers down, which facilitates a little bit better, just a little bit better, the posting. But the best poster of the gang is in fact this 231 here from Hongdian. So there you have the pens posted, and of course, as I mentioned, these two get a little bit long and kind of ridiculously long, but they are postable should you so desire. We'll be right back with some measurements and then the writing sample. Okay, so we're back for the writing sample. First of all, the ink that I've chosen this Hero Blue. I got to tell you, folks, if you can find this on the internet, it's very cheap. It took a little while to get to me, I believe, but very nice ink, as you will see. Very performs well. At a good price, nice bottle. So I have got a couple of these Chinese inks, and I've got to tell you, none of them have really disappointed me. So there you have it. It's the Aero. As far as the paper is concerned, this is the Writer Notebook purchased on Nanami paper, and it's Tomoe River. And this one happens to be actually the original Tomoe River. I still got a few notebooks in my inventory. So let's go ahead with this Bach steel nib. I mentioned a medium. It's in fact a fine. Sorry about that. So this is a fine. So this is the Tramol. This morning my hands are kind of feel like they're in cement. Tramol T630. Just going to mention Lion Awakening. And it's the gold trimmed. As far as the nib, it's a Yowo number 6 steel, and it is a fine and gold plated. The ink is Hero. There's really no name to it. It's just a blue ink. Hero Blue. So, first commentary, I've got to tell you, it's a Bach nib. It's well tuned, and Bach nibs, it's a Yowo nib. Be it Yowo and Bach, you're never guaranteed that out of the box they're completely perfect. It all depends on who is putting those nibs on the pens. Some manufacturers take the time to tune their nibs and make sure that they get into the box well tuned, and some don't. Whether or not Tramol looked at this nib, I can tell you that it is extremely well tuned. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this nib. As you can see, it is wet. It writes like a fine, okay? Do you have any line variation? Not really. It's pretty much a nail, but no matter what direction you're going towards, it is very constant. No skipping whatsoever, and it's quite smooth as well. A little bit of feedback, but I think that's just because it's a fine nib. After all, you are putting steel to paper, so you can feel a little bit slight feedback, and I wouldn't call it feedback because it's really buttery smooth. Okay, as far as reverse writing is concerned, you can get some, and you're looking at extra fine, very, very, very fine line, as you can see. Okay, fast writing, yeah, not an issue whatsoever. So very, very nice. As you can see, writes just beautifully. Now let me just go here. Okay, likes and dislikes. I like the overall quality of the pen. It has been put together very nicely. Excellent quality. I like the design. And, some people don't like this kind of engraving, and it kind of over the top for some. I really like that. I like the design. I like the gold trimming. Okay. I like the comfort of the pen. And the overall writing experience with this Yowo nib. And I may have said box. If I said Bach, you'll understand that's a mistake. It's Yowo. I'm so used to getting Bach nibs with Chinese pens, and this is the first time I see a Yowo nib. So comfort in writing, okay. The nib being a Yowo nib, I think, is a plus. Okay. What about the dislikes? I guess the only dislike I have is that the posting is not perfect. I don't have this dislike, but that you may have, because I don't post my pens. But posting may be an issue, okay? And when I look at price, this pen, I believe, was going for about $75, roughly Canadian, which is what, 50 US. Now, considering that a Bach nib runs anywhere between, what, $20, $15, $20, $25, that $50 US is a lot more reasonable, if you will. I mean, worst comes to worst, you can take out that nib and use it somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So the pen ends up costing you maybe, $50 Canadian, and whatever that is, maybe $30 American. So, but the price may be an issue. It's not a Yowo $15 pen. Okay, I have no illusions. And some would argue I prefer to have some original in-house Chinese nibs, Kegaloo, lemon, hand polish, long knife, long blade. But, they charge quite a premium for those nibs. If you take a closer look at the difference when you buy a pen with or without. So you know what? At the end of the day, this is not an unreasonable price. Now, is this a go-to pen? And what I mean by go-to, in other words, would I use it as an everyday carry? Absolutely. 10 on 10. I guess the only verdict that's still out would be, will this pen have a tendency to dry up on us? I've got the funny suspicion that it won't. I've been using it for a couple of days now, and without a real hic. I think it's 3 or 4 days that it's been inked and being used. And I've got to tell you, so far, so good. So again, unless you're not crazy about, this elaborate engraving on the barrel, it's a nice pen. It really is a very nice pen. Let me just sign it. There you have it. Another Chinese gem, folks. Gotta tell you. I don't. Some of you, just out of principle, won't buy a. I don't want to get political here, but won't buy a pen from China. But for those of you who don't really look at those things, I got to tell you, this Tramol, it's another contender. Hong Dieman has been quiet this year. Mahjong has come out with several pens. Jinao has come up, with some pens, and even they have not been overly active. They've kind of been playing on the same pens with different colors and different resins, and etc. But Hong Dieman, God, I don't remember the last Hong Dieman. I think the last Hong Dieman may have been their anniversary, a pen right at the outset where they had 2 of them. After that, I can't recall what the last Hong Dieman pen was. Now, some people say that Hong Dieman and Asvine are the same. Asvine has come out with some stuff, but even then, they've kind of concentrated on their... sorry about that, the phone rang. So, yeah, there you have it. So that's a nice pen. I forget the train of thought where I was when I was interrupted, but I think it's a nice offering. Price is, consideration. You can get them all, but if any of you are looking at it and are interested and we're wondering, well, what is that pen? Well, there you have it. I'm there to inform. And, folks, I always get the answer, I'm going to pass up on this one, or I won't buy it. I'm not doing this so that you can buy all the pens that I review. That's not the option. The option is to enjoy it, to see what's out there, get a sense of pricing, get a sense of quality and what's going on in the market. And, if you're looking for a pen and you have choices and you've seen it on the internet, on AliExpress or on Etsy or whatever site you peruse, and you wondered what it's all about, well, that's why I'm there. Hopefully I will review enough pens, not for you to buy them all, but for at least for anyone who may be interested to get a sense of where things are going in the market. There you have it. So, grazie molto. Thank you very, very much. Enjoy your week. Stay tuned for our weekend. I don't know what I've got planned for you this weekend, because this video will likely be published during the week. But you know me, you'll have advance notice, and it'll be something interesting, or at least I think it will be interesting. Grazie molto. Arrivederci. Please subscribe. A lot of you watch but don't subscribe. Click that button. What is it? Here? No. Here. Yeah, here. If you just put your mouse there, or your finger if you're on a phone, click it, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.